So the meeting, February 12th, 2024 will now come to order. Member roll call. James O'Ku.
Here.
Natalie Sayre here. John Bars.
Here.
Peter Markey.
Here.
Brian Casey. Paul Masagios. Anastasio.
Here.
Crystal. Yeah. Yeah, got it last. I'm still recovering from losing the game yesterday. Daniel Theobald.
Present.
Okay, vacant. Natural Resources Conservation Staff, Jim Howard. San Mateo County Ag Commissioner Corin Whittle. Farm Bureau Executive Director Jess Brown.
Here. I should mention, I was here last meeting, that says absent.
Okay, so should we, maybe we should bring that up during the minutes or,
Yeah, that's fine.
but I can do that. UC Co-op Extension Representative Dr. Igor Lacan.
Here.
Okay, did I pronounce your name correctly? Oh, good, thanks. And San Mateo County Planning Liaison Olivia Booth.
Present, thank you.
So, moving on to oral communication, to allow the public to address the community on any matter. The agenda. If you're subject to the agenda, the chair will recognize you at this time. Please state your name. Speakers are customarily. Is there anybody from the public?
I don't have any hands at this time.
Anybody present? No? Okay. Okay, so there's nobody from the public that would like to address the committee at this time. Number 4. Committee member updates and or questions to allow committee members to share news and or concerns, items not on the agenda. I have something, but I'd like for other people to go first if you'd like. So anybody?
Yeah, I have an item.
Daniel?
Daniel Theobald. So I started farming in the area in 2016 and it's been a real education. One of the things that I've realized over time is how useful it'd be to sort of have a handbook of sorts that, talks about how, how all the moving pieces work, right? The county, the RCD, all of these different things. And because I find that I'm still oftentimes being, confused about who does what, who's responsible for what I can do, what I can't do, whose permission I need to do X or Y or Z. And I just thought that maybe it would be something that we could help address somehow. I don't know how. But I read through the handbook and there's lots of legalese there and lots of very dense stuff. Not just be very helpful for new farmers and a lot of the experienced farmers too, who I've talked to. When I ask them a question, they're like, well, I'm not sure. I think it'd be really great if a farmer had a resource that was plain English, easy to understand, and, answered a lot of the common questions. Like, if I've got, the middle of my field is washing out because of erosion, what's the best practice? What can I do? Do I need permission to do, all of these things?
Who can I call?
Yeah, all of that stuff. Because I've certainly made mistakes in my first few years as a farmer here. And had I, had a resource that made, that was very clear, that guided me on what, who to talk to or what to do, I think I could have avoided some of that. And also, I think also as coming in as sort of experiencing all this with a fresh set of eyes, I also bring that perspective of, well, this isn't really obvious, that is really obvious, can we provide some kind of resource to help people know where to go and know what to do and how to answer these questions effectively. Maybe the Farm Bureau.
I was just gonna, I think it's a great idea, but that would be a good project for the ag ombudsman.
Yeah,
I was-
certainly RCD.
Yeah.
in some senses,
Because
got that role.
she's connecting with all those organizations. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. So two things. So the ag ombudsman is in place to help coordinate efforts to like provide resources, especially like with the county. Because there's different departments have different jurisdictions. And that gets very
There's
confusing.
planning, there's the coastal commission.
Yeah.
there's
Right.
The ag department, and then so like, what?
Zoning,
Yeah.
all of the different
Yeah.
pieces.
So she's definitely in place to help those, help kind of break down the walls and help, coordinate.
But it might be
With
good
that.
to have like a handbook like these.
Yeah, I think it could be something that's fairly,
That's timely, Daniel, because she is scheduled to, tentatively to speak at our next meeting about what she does and doesn't do. And I think it'd be a great thing to add on what we like to ask her if she'd be interested in doing. And that, the handbook, the chair recognizes,
Dick Mueller's office.
yeah, thank you.
Just frame of reference for the Brown Act, this is not an agendized item, so you guys you can have minimal discussion like you can. But you could agendize it for the next meeting and make a formal request to the ombudsman to start doing this, to start creating that document if you wish.
well, yeah, my intent was to agendize it, to bring it up. I'm not sure I want to add work to the ombudsman, though. I was thinking more it was something that, we
But
might be able to.
it's the perfect,
together
it's
on.
the good use of the ag ombudsman time. If the committee feels that that's something that would be useful, I definitely think it's worth
Yeah.
bringing up with her.
If she
And
could
then-
be here, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Okay.
secondly, with in the ag department, we do have a new growers guide, but it has to do with pesticide use. So we do have that available for new growers. It's specific to pesticide.
Which I don't use, so.
Yeah,
And I would probably phrase for the item for the agenda, form a subcommittee so the ombudsman can bounce off. You guys,
That's what I
what
was thinking,
resources,
yeah.
so
We
it's
can,
one volunteer.
yes,
Okay.
I would definitely
So
volunteer.
that should, you can phrase on their agenda item to discuss, how to manual, reference manual for farmers and appointment of a subcommittee.
Do we want to agendize that, or do we want to just say that we, to ask her about it at the next meeting? Can that be, the way to do it, or would you prefer it be agendized, Daniel?
Well, I think, let's put it on the agenda.
Okay.
We can. It's useful.
That's an excellent idea, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So, Livia, can we agendize that for the next meeting?
Yeah, and then just to clarify, right now, she's tentatively scheduled for April.
So everybody on page 3 of your agenda, if you want to cross out that she's tentatively scheduled for March 2024 and change your agenda to April.
Does
Thank
say-
you.
Yeah, it does say,
Hi?
it does say April.
Oh, it does.
Item 4B.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you. I must have aged 20 years after that football game. That's my only excuse. Thank you.
Or
Yes.
your glasses are on your head.
Well, no, I had them on when I was, like there were 4 of you. I had them on my eyes when I was here, so yeah. Thank you, my dear.
Yeah.
Okay, so, thank you, Daniel. Anybody else? The chair recognizes Corin Whittle.
all right. I have some updates. So diphacinone, I can't remember if I said this last time, but it is now considered a restricted material. This mostly affects structural pest control companies. And so I do have more information if anyone needs it. And then we scheduled our field worker pesticide safety training. And I have some flyers here if anyone wants one. It's gonna be March 6th and 7th. One will be in Pescadero on the 6th, and then in Half Moon Bay on the 7th. And the Pescadero sessions will be in Spanish, and Half Moon Bay will have both English and Spanish. And so it's crucial to point out that while your field workers will get certificate for following through the training, it's still growers need to follow up with on-site specific information. So where's the SDSs, where are the labels, where's the application specific information display, and A8s and A9s. So that it's crucial that, you know, the growers kind of follow through with the specifics of their site. And then, I hired 2 new biologists. Jonathan Winslow is one of them, and then Katie Parks. And, so I'm getting them trained up, so you may see some new faces in the department. And then I'm also recruiting for a pest detection specialist. Now, these are individuals that are seasonal. They work from April 4th through November, and they set insect traps around the county, in residential properties, looking for fruit flies, which mostly fruit flies, Japanese beetle, spongy moth, which was formerly gypsy moth, glassy wing sharpshooter, some EGVM traps. So kind of the traps that are kind of more notorious for, you know, crop destruction. And so speaking of that, in California, I'm just gonna keep talking about it. We have 7 quarantines in the state for fruit flies. One of them in Riverside, San Bernardino County is the largest in California history. And so they're stripping fruit in that area. Normally, they only strip fruit from the properties where they actually find the fly in the trap, but and then a small diameter, but this one is quarantine wide. And so it's a pretty big deal. We're following it very closely. So definitely the pest detection specialists are very important in the county to make sure that we're finding any fruit flies quickly so that we can delimit the population and try to get it under control and eradicate it right away, because we don't want any populations to take hold. And then also, we sent out surveys in the last couple of weeks for our crop report, our 2023 crop report. So we really appreciate the information we receive on it. It's really vital to make our crop report accurate. Something new this year is we are doing an art contest for the cover. And so we're gonna put that out to the kids in San Mateo County, grades 6 through 12, and have a competition for the cover. So that goes off well. And then I wanted to talk about high path avian influenza. It's here again. That hasn't actually left, but it's in our wild bird population here in San Mateo County. A lot of commercial flocks are getting hit in other counties around us. Just kind of a reminder that we have it here. Anybody with poultry definitely doesn't want it. And there's some biosecurity practices that I have a handout if anybody wants one about it. So just to stay vigilant on that. And I think that is all I have for today. Sorry for taking up so much time.
That was very important. Thank you. Very informative too. Thanks for the handout. Did you guys get a handout? Is it still circulating?
So I have a handout
For
for,
the pesticide one?
yes, I have that one. And then also I have the art contest too, if anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
So while that circulates, is there any other committee member updates and or questions not on the agenda?
I guess I have a comment, a non-comment comment, just that, I had a touch of COVID at the beginning of the year and therefore did not attend the January meeting here or the January meeting at the farm worker commission. So I am not really up to date on what's discussed there, so just to remind you that that's happening every other month, and it's great meeting, and see what's done on it, some work here.
Fantastic, thank you. So, does anyone else have anything before I say mine?
It's Olivia. I just have one item, just a reminder that you see on 4C, the Ag ID training is tentatively scheduled for next month. And then just an update, I did receive an update from Steve Monowitz, because we had been talking about the task force, Farm Labor Housing Task Force, some questions you had, et cetera. And Steve Monowitz is still working on that.
I had a few things on the Farm Labor Housing Task Force,
Okay, so
actually, that I was given.
Chair recognizes Corin Whittle.
Sorry.
No, you're
It's me
fine.
again.
You're great.
Um,
What are you guys?
sorry, I'm getting back to. So they're about 75% complete in the property inspections. And to date, they've inspected 105 farm worker housing units, occupied by 304 farm workers. The plan is to complete the inspections by early spring and then engage with the Farm Worker Advisory Commission, Ag Advisory, Board, and others on the final report and the data from the task force, as well as staff proposals for regulatory or policy changes that the county has to make. So that'll be like more like April. So they're planning to bring it to the Farm Worker Advisory and also the Ag Advisory Committee.
Can you repeat the number one time? Of
It's,
how many units that were checked and then how many occupants were in there?
yeah, so 105 farm worker housing units, not every unit is equal. So doesn't really give you a complete picture there, and 304 roofers.
Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Peter Markey.
Yeah, also. That's the main state that they inspect every parcel in the PAD.
Oh, in the paper.
Okay, that.
Is that the same article that,
Part of Apple May review.
okay, was that the article that was brought up a few meetings ago?
The article that he what he had said to the Halfland Bay Review, and they
Oh.
they then did a correction, was it not one?
Did they do the correction?
There was a correction done
I
as
think
to
so.
some things that he said, then we brought that up at, I think it was 2 AAC meetings ago, but I don't know if that's what you're referring to, if there was a new
I
one.
didn't see the correction, was it?
Okay, yes,
I didn't correct what I said.
yes, I don't know it offhand, because it was 2 meetings ago, so I don't have it with me, but, I could actually pull it up and get you a copy.
Oh,
He had said that it was the reporter's, what the reporter said was incorrect as to what he had stated. And so he, asked the Halfland Bay Review to fix it, yeah. And then this was to do a retraction, and they did, and he sent the letter, he sent an email to me about that, and he included in it, what he had asked the paper to do and what they did. Correct. But thank you, I'm glad to have all of that. Okay, anybody else from the committee? Somebody not on the agenda? Okay, I have 2 things. Actually, did you all see the letter in the packet from, Mike? You had actually, written it on behalf of Supervisor Miller to me, for the committee regarding, the on-site farm worker housing and our concerns about the way that those inspections took place. And this was included in the packet.
This wasn't inspections, this was that loan program for giving
Oh,
loan.
I'm sorry, the loan program, yeah.
Yeah, it
So-
was, go ahead.
I had what he was saying in my head. Sorry, thank you. Did everyone receive this in their packet? I just wanted to make sure you did. Okay, so I'm gonna give you my copy because I can print out another copy. Anyway, so I'm not gonna read it unless somebody wants me to out loud, but I assume not because we all have a copy of it.
I just had it attached to the agenda, so I was, the committee asked for it and the committee had a response now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it tags on to what Corin was saying, that they are in fact working on it. Correct.
Correct, and they basically do plan on, once they come up with options or different ways to go, they are gonna get input from Farm Bureau and Ag Advisory. They have a meeting with you guys to talk about it.
And that
Good.
sounds good because it sounded like she had a little bit of a timeline on it, so it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, I think it was, what, 4 to 6 months, something like that, maybe around June, I think. They're working on it.
After all the feedback they've already received. They're looking for additional feedback from.
Well, right now, the feedback you've given is feedback on that program, but they're trying to also come up with other options, because one of the concerns they had was there wasn't a lot of people using that program. Okay, I think, if I remember correctly, the number was 4 people, so they're trying to look at options and come up with other options so people can discuss.
More popular.
Yeah, pros and cons of each of it, because if they, let's say they budget $2 million, just grabbing a figure. And nobody comes for it, well, that 2 million can't really be used over here, and everybody and their brother goes to this one, you know what I mean? So that's basically what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Prioritize that.
And the former Ag and Redsmond had done a survey with the farmers about the farm labor housing, how they were using the funds and so forth, and what they wanted to be done differently. I believe this was a couple of years ago. So on a follow-up, I did ask that they perhaps look at that and see what those comments were as additional feedback to what we've already given them. And I believe they're bringing some of that to it as well. And in other words, their feedback to our feedback, right?
Yeah, no, I'll make
Do
sure,
about it,
I'll be
right?
sure to tell
Yeah, if you could do
Justin
it.
that that's there, because sometimes stuff,
Yes.
I'm sure everybody's seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that last scene, the big thing is, sometimes all these studies and stuff from government just
Sure.
goes into the
Yeah.
warehouse,
I think that would be helpful. She did a very thorough job at finding it.
And that's about 2 years ago?
I don't know exactly, but I think around 2 years ago.
Okay, sorry.
Happy to hear that it's still in process. I think where I was, confused was that in the last year of building, I believe all the funds were used up. So I think it was in previous iterations of the program. That they weren't screwed up, and the last one they were. What we need right now is something available now, not many years, or, down the road. So
Right,
that's why I thought this would be some low hanging fruit, although it obviously needs room for improvement, but this was like this low hanging fruit for something that somebody needed
Right.
quickly.
one of the
to
comments,
grab. And if we're looking 6 months down the road, just to get to the end of feedback stage, that,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
One of the-
Received.
Didn't Corin say springtime?
Oh, that's for the report.
Okay.
Yeah. so one of the comments I heard was the issue was kind of, it wasn't a loan program it was a loan program that forgave the loan. So once it was spent, it was gone. Versus other programs where everybody pays a monthly payment back and it kind of self-sustains. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just telling you that was a comment I was told, but I don't know what they're planning. But I'll ask them to see if there's any urgency.
I mean, there's urgency on the farmer side, in my opinion,
Yeah.
for this housing, and like I said, this seems like the lowest hanging fruit at the moment.
And you're talking to the lowest guy in the total today, so let's see.
Yeah, from my side, I've wanted to get additional farm labor housing put in for 5 years now, and I can't remember why I wasn't happy with the terms of the program originally, but there was something that prevented me from taking advantage of it.
Well, a lot of farmers had concerns, and correct me if I'm incorrect on the numbers, anybody. But a lot of farmers at the time, and maybe this was the reason, was that you could also rent it out or something like $9 a day, and it was, is that $4 a day? $3 a day, and that's, that has been changed. And it's only the person who's the farmer. So if a guy goes in there and he works for the farm and his family lives there, it's not per person and house. What's it been changed to, do you know?
It's a number that's like set by,
It's increased.
yeah, it's like, to be an occupant, you have to be within this county considered, like, very low income, or, there's these different.
Yeah,
set-
but that's thousands of dollars. That's not part of the farm labor thing, because a very low income is, it's like, I mean, you
Yeah,
rent out for
if you, I would
$4,000.
try to explain it if you let me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, my dear. Go ahead. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I can look it up for you, but there's different income levels for folks that are willing to help. And then there's a set amount that you're able to charge, so you have to be very low income, to be able to rent this space and be a farm worker, but then you are only, the farmer is only allowed to charge, I believe, what is considered the rent rate for extremely low income. So it works out, like, I'm familiar with the numbers because we're looking, pretty close to them. I believe for a family, for a 2-bedroom, you can charge up to, $1,250 a month.
I respectfully, hear what you're saying, but because we have a property that falls under low to moderate income housing, and I'm familiar with that grid. But I believe, and tell me if I'm incorrect, Peter, that for the actual loan program, they're saying in order to have a loan forgiveness program of X amount of dollars for farm labor housing, you're only allowed to charge, and it was this incredibly low amount, like you'd said, $4 a person, but it's only the person, and maybe that's gone up in a different way, but I don't think it's part of the grid you referred to, because this one is,
Initially, like you said.
Yeah, well, we just went through applying, we looked at the numbers pretty closely.
for farm labor housing,
Yes, so
for the loan program.
for the revised loan program.
Oh, okay, well, then that's wonderful.
Yeah,
So I've used up all the money, so it doesn't exist anymore.
Right, I understand.
so it's $3 a day to charge for the horse for you. It said it changed, so it changed, following like low moderate income or? How did it,
That's
what was the change in other words? I'm curious.
I have to look at.
We
the
do
details,
bring it to
because I
the
don't
next
wanna
meeting.
I'm gonna bring it to the next meeting.
Misspeak, but, yeah, we looked at it, and I believe what I'm saying is accurate. It's like, they're trying to make sure that you can't charge more than 30% of this income. And that's based on someone who is, in our county, of course, like, the median income is extremely low. So, I mean, for me, it's like people are earning decent, basically, like, if you were to make $50,000 a year, you and your partner, say there's 2 people in there, then you would be able to occupy that. And
You bring that for next meeting?
yeah, I mean, it's in the documentation describing,
Someone open up out for us, can we bring it then?
the county program, but yeah, I can bring it up.
I have the grid, but are you asking him to bring something that
So the
states
change.
that it's a change?
And how much you can charge.
The thing
I mean,
is they're gonna be coming back with a new program, so I don't know how.
Yeah,
relevant
it
this
was
is.
changed and
You know what I
there
mean?
was 4 applicants and they used up their money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I mean, of course, if you want him to bring it back, then that's more just information, not what the new program would be.
Yeah, but what's the current program? He just didn't make French at the time.
no one's maxed out.
I didn't know this change took place and said, so also it's going up on, that's $3 a day for the farmer that works for you. And you can't charge any more than that, but you said that then it's gonna change. I'd like to see the change, that's the, because it's new information to me.
I could look into it too, if you'd like.
Whoever,
I have the grid, and if in fact we have something that says it's changed to what that grid is.
Is it changed to the grid? I don't know.
Right, but if that's what he's been told, I can look and see if there's something in writing.
Is it changed to what the grid is?
Because that's a wonderful
The
thing.
grid is used, the grid is used in the calculation. Yeah.
Okay, if you could bring that info to us,
It's more than one.
that would
It's
be good.
referenced.
So, I didn't know that you changed. Yeah.
Thank you for telling us about that. I'm shocked and, but in a happy way. If that's the case. I think that's wonderful.
Well, it doesn't exist anymore, so it's.
Well, hopefully it
I have
something.
a lot of feedback. I know personally, I spent like a lot of time working for 5 years on that.
Yes.
There, which is why it's.
I worked on things
Here we are
for
again.
2.5
It doesn't like reinvent
years.
the wheel all over again.
But it didn't negate the happiness I felt once it was done. However, I agree with you. It was frustrating to have worked on things for so long. So, anyway, hopefully that's a good thing. That will continue. Which it's already in existence, so maybe that helps it continue. Okay, next, committee member updates and our questions allow committee members to share news or concerns. I did have one thing, other thing besides the letter that I just, brought up. I just want to make sure everyone had it in their packet. If anybody, y'all said you did, but if you find out later you didn't and you want a copy, I can always get you one as well. And it's online, of course. Anyway, the second item I want to bring up is that I was told that at a recent Farm Bureau meeting, it was announced that the California Coastal Commission is allowing the Pescadero Fire Station to be built on prime soils without the required contingency that they had previously put into place. That the county purchased a similar piece of property to mitigate this action. Further, it's believed, or I was told, that the reason for allowing it to be built without this requirement is that there wasn't any properties with prime soils or other qualifying mitigating factors available. So, we have the president of the Farm Bureau here. We don't know if you're okay making a statement as to what was the Farm Bureau meeting about that. Of course, I just got it as hearsay. If in fact it is correct, I did want to make a statement after BJ talked about it, because if it's true that the reason for it is that there is no prime soil within the area, there happens to be 2 pieces of property for sale within a 5-mile radius of that prime soil that the fire station is going to be put on. And that doesn't, I'm not advocating for any property to be bought or sold. I want to be clear. I am saying though, that this, if in fact was allowed to happen, and that prime soil is gone, like so much other prime soil in our county, with no mitigation at all. And that's concerning, and I wanted to make a statement about it. So BJ, would you be okay letting us know what in fact is correct? Because I don't want to say anything about incorrect.
I don't have really not much to say. I mean, we're not dealing with it, that's for sure.
Right, but is it true that this occurred? Because I heard about it, but I couldn't find anything online.
Any for a question with that change?
But yes.
Yeah, but,
Well, thank you very much. Just didn't want to say anything that was incorrect. So it's concerning. And I think that everybody in this room should be equally concerned because we are losing prime soil. We are losing farming on the coast. And to allow that mitigation not to occur. And if in fact, is it true that they say it's because they couldn't find any prime soil in the area?
yeah, I think that,
That's incorrect. And when you look at the 5 requirements under the LCP A through E, as it was described to me, there is a piece of property that meets C, and there's a piece of property that's actually in the MLS right now for sale. That is 4.5 miles away, that meets, the prime soils under the BIS of the county.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be more than just prime soil. It was supposed to be prime soil that hadn't been farmed before.
Correct. And both of those meet that. Well, one for sure. The second one I could say I'm 80% sure. I'll say it correctly. Right.
where's the location?
Well, one is, the one on Water Lane, it's in the MLS. And then the other one is on 5677 Cloverdale Road. And the county had said that on C of that, that it would possibly be an option for the mitigation property. So, whether it was finalized or it was, that did not come to fruition, but it was certainly something they were looking into.
Well, you said Water Lane?
Yeah, the one on Water
Property
Lane.
in Water Lane has never been farmed.
Is it, well, I said 80%, it's, I believe it's never been farmed, that it qualifies. I didn't know the qualification was that it's never been farmed, but you had said it's never been farmed. So I thought 80% it's never been, is that incorrect? It's been farmed
What's that?
property?
Plan farm.
I'd have to look it up, I'm sorry.
All that property is farmed.
You know, I'm familiar with that property. I know it was farmed.
Oh, it was
Not
farmed.
recently.
All of it? Because it's an 11-acre
Yeah,
property,
it's
I
11 acre
remember
property.
that.
It's 11 acre property. I remember, I'm familiar with that. I think a portion of it was farmed, maybe 3 acres, it was farmed about 10 years ago.
Okay,
But
because their
it's-
mitigation has to be, they have to mitigate 2.5 times, it comes out to 3.5 acres that they have to, the mitigation. So if only 3 acres were farmed,
Yeah, there's.
does that then leave
No,
9
I don't think
acres?
they look at it. But that, all that's been farmed, the 10 acres you're talking about, I farmed that myself.
Okay, so that it's all been farmed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll take that off the table. Thank you. So,
So one in Clover, is that your property?
yeah, well, it's not mine, it's the whole states.
yeah.
But yes. So, and that's not even an issue, because that was in the past. But during that time, they were still looking for a mitigation property. So, I just find it difficult to believe, and it's my understanding with the LCP, I'm sorry, with the coastal commission, what the mitigation they're requiring. When I read it, I don't recall seeing that it said close proximity, but didn't say how far away that it had to be. So does that mean that it could have been in Half Bay?
No.
No, that's too far. How far could it?
So this is, I don't know, but I think it can't be in another,
In another city?
It's gotta be within the area.
Within Pascadero or the surrounding areas? Okay, yeah,
In all due respect, I think the property you're talking about, your own, I sold them personally, I don't think we qualify. There's definitions. Agriculture ground. And one of them has got to water. And the second, it's gotta be able to use artichokes or Brussels sprouts.
well, that's for prime soil, but according to the county, they sent me an email saying that it was, and I have to pull up the email. That it was, that the LCP guidelines are A through E. And they said if there was cattle grazing on it, that would be a requirement under C. And, they said A through E and had said that too. So, that they would look into see if that was in fact a possibility. But it doesn't mean I wanna sell the property to them, that's not an issue, it's not even on the market anymore. It's just the issue of this was a possible property according to the county. So, whether it was this property or a different one, I just felt like they need to look into it more. And still be required by the coastal commission to mitigate, and I'm just wondering, why in effect it was taken off, and that requirement was taken off. It's concerning.
Now, when you're looking for what can all of a sudden now, the train's left the station and now you come up with this, again,
I've been working on it for quite some years.
I think it's gotta be comparable.
Not with it.
And the land,
Well, it has to be the same amount of acreage. Okay, it has to
quality
be.
of the ground.
Okay, well, they told me something different, Steve Monowitz and Dustin Mason, in their emails. So maybe there was a miscommunication. I don't know. I do respect what you're saying too, but you're saying that's what they said. And I would hope that everybody be held to the same requirement, and that we don't lose the prime soil. Fair?
Do you think there is workable property that would be the area that they could do? There's something to do for the game.
I don't believe there's anything they can find.
That's the point.
Something is.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know how to be farmed. I thought, that.
Yeah, I didn't read that in the requirements, but maybe I misread it.
Yeah,
That's not, that's not farm. But I mean, you put a high school property like that, prime town there versus you know, you're.
Yeah, no, I know.
In my opinion. I am.
Well, our property is right here. It doesn't matter anymore because that's not an issue. But it was when they were looking for it. So for them to say, I did, we had correspondence for 2 years. What makes you think I didn't? I'm sorry, that's, I have to wear an assumption. I
Because
think it right readily.
The reason I say it has come up many times and I never heard anybody say that.
I talked to the county about it several times. And we've discussed it here with me leading the discussions. So I don't attend the Farm Bureau meetings. It's not
Well, it should be done.
I brought it up here many times.
I guess anybody did.
And I'm doing it now, but I don't want to bother everybody with it, but I do want to make a statement, and it is not allowed to be talked about per the Brown Act too much. We also want to be told that.
Okay. To meet the qualification, you're looking for like at one time. That's the old farm, so, I think, it's just, I didn't know it kind of had that qualification that. That it, was a farm, that's.
So do you mind sharing with us what the Farm Bureau, like what you guys look to? You want them to look further out, or you, what is it that you're?
No, because it's already been discussed and it's been taken off the table. They went forward. The Coast Commission said now you don't have to get the front ground.
Right.
They permitted them to have the ground they got and don't have to buy anything. Just go ahead and
Okay.
move on.
So the
That's
Farm
okay.
Bureau's not doing anything, it's off the table, or is that person?
Well, right at the moment, I don't want to say,
Okay,
and you'll hear what way we go.
okay,
I don't want to say anything right now.
Sure.
My all due respect, but
no, of course, absolutely. So, oh, thank you.
I mean, when we write a letter to the coastal commission or the county, so it's approved and,
Is it billable?
yeah.
That was our original stance, was that we just.
Your original stance from long time ago, they were no, they would be giving up information.
right.
It was a few years ago when trading for.
Back in 20 March.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a long time.
Well, we got.
About 10 years that you
Like I
were.
said, in 2014. We got rid of it, sent it to- and not the one. Plus, we had an attorney, speak at the hearing.
And I mean, even, I would, full letter to the county, I would say, at the very least, even if the coastal commission isn't requiring you to do this anymore, we expect to do something. And to not just completely disregard agriculture and show this under their rug.
That's actually an excellent point. And I like your solution orientated mind, by the way. That's a very, very excellent point.
You just give direction that you'd like a letter back, brought back to the next meeting. You know, a draft. So
Does it have to be on an agenda?
it'll be on the agenda next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be on the agenda next month for the draft letter.
So is that?
Richard asked me a question.
Yeah.
What, do you understand
Voting.
why that requirement exists? I mean, I can understand saying
That's not picky.
needing
They're
to,
giving
you
direction
know,
now.
purchase land that is not currently being used for farming, because the point is, of course, to keep the amount of, available for farming. But to say that it's never ever been used for farming seems, I guess I just don't understand why that requirement makes any sense.
That's something the Coastal Commission recommended at that time. 14 years ago or in 2014 or earlier. That's what the requirements were in order to substitute for that piece of property. I don't know why they did it, but at the time, I think they were trying to, protect. Something else taking its place that was gonna be taken out.
Yeah, never just seems like an unreasonable requirement,
What
maybe
are
like within the past 10
Are you
years.
asking why they're requiring that it be ground that's never been farmed? Why that
Never is a
never been farmed?
strong word.
That's the requirement.
It's probably the theory it's gonna move it down the same amount of acreage. On the wall. You take 5 acres out, you add 5 acres, you don't. 5 acres, that is.
Okay.
Previously been farmed.
Yeah, and maybe also it would encourage
county or whoever is, the called fire, whoever is really, making the project happen, to look for a different place. Like, because there really isn't other farmland can be brought into agriculture that hasn't previously been used, so that can provide an incentive, like, to look at expanding
That's a good one.
the fire station where it currently sits, because that's not for an agricultural land, but I guess in the final analysis, they decided this was the spot that made the most sense.
That's a good one.
That did a lot of planning, and I weren't moved by our recommendation.
Yeah, want to also, in full disclosure, want to be clear, my concern is for the prime soil, has nothing to do with my property, our property is not on the market anymore. But I'm just saying, when it was, when it was different. And they certainly knew what option, there was a viable option, like I said, and it came to fruition, but they certainly said that they were gonna look into it, because they believe it met item C under the LCP policy. So, anyway, next, any more?
I have
comments?
I have one person with their, from the public online who has their hand raised.
The county recommends a person from the public, we passed the public, we're doing the committee members.
We might be talking about this item.
Okay, okay, fantastic. So the chair recognizes Dante Silvestri.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Yes, exactly. Prime soils that was not previously farmed with water. We knew months ago, years ago, good luck trying to find that. And now the Coastal Commission basically says move forward. But there's still a chance for a little bit of a win here to, basically halfway or so to take there is prime soils out there that has previously been farmed years ago or dry farmed or grazed or whatever. But if they can find some prime soils and place some type of easement on it that keeps it in ag, that's something versus nothing. And whether it's one of the parcels on Water Lane or other, it's something. But we knew, this is no secret. We said, good luck. We've been racking our brains for years, and I'm on that firehouse replacement project. I'm on the steering committee, and I said, years ago, good luck when I heard this. So there you have it.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying is maybe reduce the requirement rather than give up. Yes.
That would be my thought process. Thank you, Dante.
I think I had something.
Yes.
Thank you. I believe in the original analysis, there's something like 150 acres of Class A soils. I don't know what, how long they were, but there was some available about. That would go back to that in the original analysis that they should be much more 2021 or something like that.
Can you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Based on the original analysis that they presented to the committee back in 2021, when I was sitting on it, it was around 150 prime soil Class A farmable acres.
That aren't in current use,
Not
or,
necessarily, no, I didn't delineate that.
yeah,
But that there was potentially a pool of 150 acres.
We'd like to know, we don't want to call them saying anything about proximity, and this was written, and it's still online. So I'm just wondering if, A, what Dante said would be perfect solution, in my opinion, or give us an idea if we can increase what we believe the proximity is, or make it more clear what it is. Because,
Natalie,
yes.
I want to add one more piece to that. There is some language there that within a certain amount of proximity of the project. So I would say right off the bat, Half Moon Bay or other is out. But one other thing that I brought up is easier said than done. This 3-4 acres is then what? The guy that's farming at the high school now just pick up your whole operation and move everything over there to farm this mitigation. That's a burden on the farmer. So really that 3 or 4 acres should be more like a minimum of 10. If you're going to make this trade-off that, okay, not previously farmed, but we are going to place some other prime soils and protect it in perpetuity, that it should be more like 10 acres. Because to think that, okay, well, Jose's farming there at the school now. Jose, there's your mitigation property. Okay, go irrigate over there. Go move your pipe. Go move your pump. Go move your cultivator. It doesn't work for the farmer.
And even if we couldn't do anything, which it sounds like we still can, I think talking about it is important in this committee. So do we have to make a motion, Olivia, to put this on the agenda, the next agenda, or we just do it? I believe we can do it like we did with Daniels.
Yeah,
Items.
I've added a note to have it on the agenda for next month. And then I will also ask staff. Let them know it came up.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You gave direction. You didn't take a vote. You gave direction.
Okay. Thank you. So next, if there is not any more, items for the committee member updates and or questions, move on to, right?
Item 5.
Okay, the status of Peninsula Open Space West parcels excluded from wildlife conservation easements that are associated with the Lake Lucerne Mutual Water Company. Is there any status update, or mentions about that? No? Okay. The chair recognizes Peter Markey.
The shareholders, will not wait till third. And, our next meeting is March 5th. And, that's when, the shareholders wanted to invite, him to come, to ask them questions. That's all I know about so far.
Thank you. Okay,
Can you
Go ahead.
clarify? I'm sorry, I just wanted to know just clarification on when was the next meeting?
March 5th, it's a
Thank you.
private meeting, the shareholders, and, the shareholders asked, if Minton could, be present, so we could ask them questions, that's all I have.
Thank you.
okay. Next, so the ag, ombudsman will be discussing the program, and that is tentatively scheduled for April, not March, as I erroneously said before. I apologize. The ag ID training will be the one, in March. And that'll be that is tentatively scheduled, of course. So that'll be next meeting. Number 5, discussion to select a food hub liaison at AAC who will act as the main point of contact between the food hub work and Supervisor Mueller's office. So, Olivia, you had put that on the agenda, I believe, did you, or somebody familiar with this one at the start, to discuss that?
Talked a little bit with Elijah as well. I'll also be happy to chat about it. Regarding the project that is ongoing, with the study of feasibility of food hub with RCD and, from our farm Breeze Ranch and then, Tomcat Ranch as well, and kitchen level advisors. I think the idea of it was basically to have somebody on this committee be, kind of a liaison and getting what's going on in that project with the rest of the community. More than just giving updates as far as progress and kind of keeping them on track in terms of just, updates, giving updates, getting input from this committee. I think that's more what they're looking for. Because our farm is involved, that, I'd be happy to be the liaison. I don't know if that would be appropriate as well. Which, I'm open either way.
We're just gonna ask for very.
Don't know. Yeah, so I'd be happy for someone else to do that as well.
Well, it seems like obviously
yeah.
you speak the language in terms of, what's going on, you can.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, Veronica is really the one from more involved in it. So I'm more Jason. I'm more involved with the work that has been going on with some of the initial food hub activities, which there's been some newer things with that on the more logistical day-to-day stuff, but in terms of the planning, but I think easier
Like, yeah, I need to explain to you as well, too.
So, but yeah, like I said, I'd be happy to like.
Is that
Yes, what's
okay
technical.
to, make a motion to,
Um,
be
I'm gonna hold off on that. Actually, it was, Eliza had made this request to me when I was speaking with her, offline. And, I need to double check. She, probably responded and I was out last week. So I'm gonna check back with her on that. And then I will also check about, yeah, being, about the liaison, if someone on the committee if that's permitted to be the liaison.
And before we go to that vote, is anyone else particularly interested in being a liaison? Because I'm not married to that idea either.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do it if.
Is anybody
Just a little
else?
unclear on why Eliza wouldn't be that person.
It's a good question. I think this, yeah, it's a good question. I'm not really sure why. She mentioned it was supposed to be somebody on the committee. I don't really know if there's a particular flash behind it.
Olivia,
Like Audrey used to
Yeah.
do that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, so Eliza is for this to be an agenda item?
Yeah, she brought it up to me.
Okay.
So I'd asked her for clarification on that.
I suggest it because she's actively part of that,
Mhm.
whereas Cole is like
I'm adjacent to it.
adjacent to it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, part of
Makes sense.
the original get-togethers, there were a number of meetings, but I think there's a little sub.
Right, makes sense.
and
Goes in, so it does make sense.
Yeah.
She's like officially in the.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
and she's not in the public area of the Zoom meeting, right?
No,
Okay.
I'll retain this for, I'll give some clarification and retain this for next meeting.
Well, thank you, Cole. Brian and Olivia, thank you. Number 6, Community Development Directors Report from the Planning Liaison.
Okay, so, for the last cycle of which was December 30th to the January 31st, there were no planned agricultural permit applications received by the planning department. No planned agricultural development projects were considered by the Board of Supervisors or Planning Commission. And no coastal development exemptions. And then just for the general announcements, there are again some vacant AAC vacancy positions available. And I believe I had forwarded the one for Jonathan Winslow. I believe I forwarded to everyone by email. So feel free to share that with anyone. And the next meeting is scheduled for March 11th.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, the response letter from Supervisor Mueller's office regarding the AAC's recommendation letter for continuing funding for the County Farm Labor Housing Loan Program. I see that I made a huge mistake in the fact that I discussed that while it was on the agenda. I do apologize for that, everybody. I appreciate your patience and kindness with me. Anybody a comment on that? Since it is an agenda, are you sure no discussion? Okay. All right, anybody? Thank you. So after that, we adjourn. So the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.